There's always going to be about 5 or 10 minutes of hiccups, but I'll figure this out. Let me go to.
It'll work.
Do you remember how long it took last time?
It was pretty quick last time.
Did we nail it?
Long at all. Yeah, it wasn't long at all, I don't think.
Okay. Full screen. Pop out. Something like that. I think I get better quality when I have just one person on, because this looks good.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I got to figure this out a little bit better, or start paying these guys money.
Sure.
That probably would help out. So this should be that. No. Okay, I think we're good to go. And then we're going to make this transform to fit to screen. I'm a little bit wider. I can crop this really quick. I just got to get this keyboard over here, but I think we're live. What's up, everybody? Can you guys hear us?
Hey.
What is going on? Check one, check one. We're just hanging out, roasting by a fake fire. What's going on, everybody? What up, Patrick Sandy? What's up, brother? I got to hang out with Patrick last weekend in St. Pete's, which is west of Tampa Bay. That was cool. He was wearing a kilt. What up, Chris Radiation? I was down there with him as well. Great trip, everybody. So I take it the audio sounding okay, everybody? Click on this really quick. What up, Stephen Plass? What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Good to go. All right, we got Adam Makes Beer out there from in Cincinnati tonight. Adam, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. And this is the second time you've been on. Adam is a head brewer. Tell us a little bit about yourself, bro. I'll let you wrap it up.
Yeah, man. No, I'm head brewer at Cartridge Brewing outside of Cincinnati. We opened up in end of 2020, and yeah, man, just doing the thing there. In May of 2022, started dropping some behind the scenes craft brewery type videos, grain to glass stuff, tutorials, Q&A stuff, and that's just kind of the deal.
Putting out a lot of content. I do want to get up to Cincinnati. We talked about that last time. And you guys just merged? You guys got bought out, or you did the acquiring?
We got bought out by Saucy out of Cleveland.
Anything drastic going on so far with that, or everything's still kind of shipshape?
Yeah, I mean, everything's good. It's just, it's just one of those things. Like right now we're working on like a year-round release calendar. There's going to be some cans that we're filling down in Cincinnati. There's going to be some cans that they're filling up in Cleveland. So, I mean, a lot of it still is just a little bit of logistical stuff. Still iron everything out, but beyond that, everything's good.
Well, good to hear. Got a super chat there from Ron Barnes, man. Much love. And really quick, I want to give a shout out to the super chatters from last week. That was Blackwood Brews. How are you? Sorry, guys. I got frog throat tonight. Northwest Small Batch Brew put out a short today. Put out a YouTube short. Shout out to him. And I got some members, man. Much love to everybody. Thank you, Ron Barnes, as always. And who put out content this week? Whose videos were I watching? I was watching Adam's channel. Portly Gentleman's back. He's got a consistent run. Brew Dudes. Have you talked to them? The Brew Dudes guys?
I've talked to Dudes Brews.
Dudes Brews.
It's a channel out of the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I did their podcast, and so it was me and the three of them, and then I did a collab with one of the dudes who does Dudes Brews, and we converted one of the recipes that I won an award with at Cartridge.
Nice.
And then he brewed it at home. It was a hazy pale ale, and then he did a grain to glass video on that. So
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Brewing Bad says Adam's audio is low. Well, it sounds perfect on my end. So should I turn yours down, or do you want to bump it up?
I'm up as high as I can go.
Oh, really?
I don't know why. Yeah, and so if you can take me up higher on your end, that might be good.
How about this? I turn myself down, and everyone turns theirs up. Everybody who's listening.
Hey, it works for me.
Same difference, yeah? Can you still hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Am I less loud on your end?
You're a little quieter, but I can still hear you.
Okay, we're coming through. What about in the chat? What's up, everybody? I got That's My Johnson in there. That beer was delicious that he gave to me, his buddy Nick, Gnome, and Chris Radiation. We met up with the guy at the John Jones fight, lost $200, fastest $200 I've ever lost, met a barrage, and he gave us a beer from, I believe it was called Descent? Maybe I'm saying that wrong. But pleasure, Orlando. Cheers, barrage, a.k.a. That's My Johnson.
You're at the John Jones fight?
No, we just did a sports bar down there, and
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Damn. Well, either way, it was a fun ticket that night.
It was a good ticket that night up until I lost $200. And my best friend and I back home, we always bet each other, but every other time we get John Jones because I would never bet against John Jones. I don't care what weight class it is. So it was my turn to take the other guy, and I was confident enough since the guy went to decision with Francis Ngannou, and I was like, okay, well, I don't see John Jones kicking Ngannou's ass at the time. Now I do, but I couldn't. Did you watch the fight?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. I think, because people are always like, oh, well, Mike Tyson used to knock people out in 30 seconds and Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo in 10 seconds. That's a knockout. You shouldn't be.
And that stuff's all different, too.
It's
man.
different.
I don't know. Yeah. And to me, the parallels with boxing and MMA, they just aren't there because, like, there's so many different skills. You can specialize in so many different things and still be, you can have very different skill sets and still be very, very high level. You know what I mean?
For sure. And I don't think anyone's bummed out if there's a first round knockout in either sport. But on the other side of that, I don't see John Jones tapping out in the first round. I don't see Dan Henderson tapping out in the first round. I just think you at least let yourself get choked out like Lyoto Machida. Because I've seen John Jones with his arm bent backwards against Vitor Belfort, and he popped it back in and still got the victory. So to tap out in the first minute or the first round when you're sitting down, you've got the cage behind you. I just don't know. And I have been choked out before. It's not just like you're holding your breath. Your Adam's apple is going into your neck. So it's not just like holding your breath underwater. But nobody wants to see a rematch after that fight. Nobody wants to see that rematch. So we hung out. That was my idea to go there, and we were at a sports bar for like 4 or 5 hours, just chugging Coronas by the bucket, like the commercials.
Hey, listen, buckets of Corona, and then you're drinking Yingling right now.
I'm drinking a Yingling right now. I don't have the throat. I've got the bad voice. Adam's got the beautiful voice, but he's not drinking tonight, so I'm going to carry the weight. He's got the pipes. I've got the booze.
Now, you had to be shocked by that Shevchenko.
Awesome. It was awesome. It was awesome. I'm glad that we know the terminology.
Do you like her or no?
I like her record, but I know nothing about her personality. I don't know if she's cocky or.
As a fighter, I just know she's wild in there, man. Well, I mean, she's not wild. She's so composed and so exact. I was shocked when I found that when I saw that she lost.
Yeah, same. They're still saying they can't hear you. Let me go ahead. People are going to say they're going to take off. Thanks, producers. Let me go ahead and figure this out really quick.
And let me just double check and make sure.
Let me go to audio output capture. So it should be. It's on my end. It's got to be on my end. Let me see now.
Okay.
What about now? Now we're going to have to change it around a little bit.
Okay. But yeah, this is as high as I go on my side.
No, you're good. I think I just fixed it. I think I fixed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're getting some trolls in here. Can you see the chat? Can you see? Whoa,
No,
it's
I
stirred.
can't see the chat.
You might have to pull it up on your phone.
Okay.
It has to be his mic. No, because it says audio output is fine. Because I can hear you great.
And can they hear me now?
Northwest Small Batch. Yeah, they're saying it's good now. Okay, we're good. Thank you,
Okay,
Bodine's
good.
Brews. What's up, brother? Thanks for the love a couple weeks ago. Bodine's is always showing love. Okay, it says it's perfect now. Good to go. Thanks,
Nice.
everybody. Appreciate that.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I don't really like beer that much.
I've got I think things switched around, but it'll be good to go. Ron Barnes, man, thank you for that super chat. Yeah, so other than that, no, it was a great weekend. If you're going down to Tampa Bay and you know what you're doing, you might have done it a little bit different than us, but I think that all of us kind of thought Tampa Bay and St. Pete's are the same. It's like Anaheim and Los Angeles. It's that different. And if it's more beachy versus a more downtown gritty vibe. And I just thought it was all the same thing. But I'm looking forward to making that video as well as trying to brew this weekend and then get both videos out.
This weekend?
I'm going to do a blind taste contest with Lutra Kvike, liquid and dry, and see if there's a difference. And I don't want there to be, because then it could push more brewery or more yeast brands into getting their stuff dry, so it's more accessible.
Okay.
So we'll see. But speaking of yeast, though, what's up with these thiolized yeast strains? I was checking them out a little bit, and it seems like it's a hoppy thing. I think Omega's actually got the word thiolized on one of their brands. It's got the whale on it. But
So that's Heliogazer. So they've got a few different strains right now. Anything from like London 3 that they apparently like switch some gene on. It's a gene editing thing, and just kind of in a nutshell, it's the idea that there are thiols that can be unbound that come from hops, but even malt and everything like that, and it can really push this passion fruit pink guava kind of thing in your beers, and it's an interesting tool, and I think you can make some. I think you can make some fun IPA with it, but kind of I had a conversation with a brewer buddy of mine a week or two ago at this point. He's done a lot of work with those strains and done a lot of experimentation, and kind of the conversation with us ended in like, what else can you be doing with it, right? Not just oh, did you lose my mic?
No.
Okay, cool.
Did something happen? I was just pouring a beer.
I just had a thing pop up. It's all right. It asked me if I wanted to switch something. So
good on my end.
I'm okay, sweet. So, and yeah, I mean, so I don't think it has to be simply an IPA thing, man. Like he was talking about, because they've done blending, because you were talking Kvike, and they've blended these thiolized strains with Voss to kind of control how much of that passion fruit guava note that you get. And he was talking about, like maybe trying it in something like a Belgian Golden Strong, right? Something
not my vibe, but okay.
Sure, but like seeing how it can be applied in different styles, right? Where coloring outside the lines on some different styles. So yeah, I've been playing with that. I've been playing with that some in the brewery. So that's interesting stuff to work with.
For sure. Do you think that's going to be the next Kvike? I mean, the most popular yeast strain in the last forever has got to be Kvike. It got to the point where I would see it on some beer menus, like how they put the hops up there. You would see that on some menus. Do you think that this will go that route?
Well, I think the interesting thing is I think that the Kvike thing is really really a gold mine for the home brewing side. Because typically, and not that there's not use on the pro side, don't get me wrong, but typically it's on the home side where there's less tight parameters as far as temperature control and everything like that, and that's where that yeast really shines, man. So I worked at a small little pub that I was brewing on a Sabco, so I had to turn it 3 times in one day to make 1 barrel of beer. And then I was fermenting in plastic containers with no temperature control, and so that's why I started messing with Kvike. And yeah, that stuff is wild, and it suits itself really well toward parameters like that. So in my mind, I think Kvike can have like a real long-lasting foothold, not just on the pro side, but on the home side, because sometimes the lack of technology. as far as HVAC cooling tanks, what have you.
Yeah, I made a video on that. I said that every homebrew startup kit should just come with that. Just Kveik
yes.
dry yeast. And that would keep people
Yeah.
brewing more and cut out so many just high temperature off flavors. I wish I had that back in the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, I like it. No, you're hitting on that a little bit. And we got 43 people here right now. If people can finally hear us, we're 15 minutes in. For those who just got here, we got Adam Makes Beer. He's got a YouTube channel out there. He puts out a lot of content and he hits on, I like your style. I'm kind of copying it. You'll just do a subject about 3 or 4 minutes because it's difficult for a lot of people to sit through a podcast. What doesn't matter if it's Joe Rogan or a beer science podcast. It's especially to go back. Once you get a couple backlogs on a podcast, I don't even know how that works. I don't know how much time people have, but give him a follow. That'd be cool. He's coming up on 3,000 subscribers. We're talking a little bit about HomebrewCon today. Are you 50-50 on that or 25?
It's probably a little bit more of a long shot at this point, but it might be something I'll be able to plan for in 2024. I'm actually hoping to be able to do a little bit more. I did a talk at the Ohio Craft Brewers Conference. I got turned down for a Craft Brewers Conference this year, but I'm hoping to be able to maybe give a talk at Homebrewers. It's HomebrewCon now, right? So HomebrewCon, and then maybe Craft Brewers Conference next year too.
Okay. Yeah, I think the biggest factor is the cities on that one. And this is San Diego, but I'm going to be there this month. And I just think that's too quick a turnaround to get back out. I haven't even paid my taxes yet. I'm supposed to be buying a house right now. I haven't even paid my taxes. But that's actually surprisingly on my accountant's end. I'm ready, but I'm not, it's hurry up and wait right now. But to give you a heads up, the tickets are like $300 or $400 or maybe $100 if you just want to go for the Saturday. But if you have over 500 YouTube subscribers, they'll waive that. I don't know where they came up with that number.
Nice.
And I was clicking on their criteria, and it's pretty stringent. If you're a blogger, you have to put out X amount of articles, or vlog. Okay. No, the blog, the original website. And you have to have 20,000 views a month and this and that. And they said, if you're an influencer, sorry, we're not. If you've got 1 million Instagram pictures and you've got your titties hanging out with cleavage, we don't consider that media, so they don't get a pass. But if you do want to get your free pass, fill out your application for it. And I might just fill it out just to keep it on the back burner because I hope they'd give it to me. But it's San Diego this year, June 22nd to the 24th.
Nice.
If anybody's in the market for that, man. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out. First things first, Bodines Brews, man. Thank you for that $10 super chat. And thanks for all the money that you gave to me and Noam and the whole Tampa Bay trip with Chris and Nick, the boys from Pittsburgh. Shout out, man. Love you guys. Cheers from Knoxville. But Noam sent me barrel-aged deliciousness, and I'm drinking a hazy right now, and it's perfect. And this is next level shipping. Put it in a bottle. What are these called? The NPRs, the NFTs? What are the kids called?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And it tastes great. It looks, smells. It's sellable beer. Top-notch sellable beer, in my opinion.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But speaking of sellable beer, Adam came on about a month ago, and I've kind of been thinking about this a lot, almost every day. And it was good to hear because I've always thought about it, and I think people need to hear it, that great beer doesn't mean your business is going to be successful. And you said it, and the more I talked about it, I'm looking at breweries now kind of based off their business models more than their beers. And we went to a brewery in Tampa Bay this week, and I'm not going to name the name. I'll tell you off the air, but it was highly recommended. It was packed. It was not packed, but it was packed for when they opened and when we got there. And we couldn't drink their beers. It was one of those things that we all ordered something different, and we all took a sip of our beers, and you want to be like, this is good, this is okay.
Yeah.
And we started kind of looking around at each other, and it was like, is this really a Pilsner? Is that really hazy? Is that really supposed to be like that? And I don't think any of us finished our beers. And it was kind of a bummer that a brewery that has this much foot traffic, this much word of mouth, is this successful, and their beer sucked. Their beer was just bad. And we kind of were talking to industry guys after that. They knew what was up. They're like, yeah, they push more cider or hard seltzers. It's more of a family thing. And I was like, that's the only way it makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So what was the vibe like in there though? Like, what was it, an enjoyable place?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Food.
Like, beer aside, how was service?
Service was good. You know, you go to the bar, food came fast, but there's a big stage up there, like right in the center of the brewery. And from shows to wrestling matches, and there's big Scrabble boards, and there was bocce ball out back. So it was pretty much just kind of a park. It was like a beer garden.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was kind of the opposite what we talked about last time, because you were like, I know so many breweries that went out of business back in Michigan, or what was the city you were in before?
Yeah, when I was back in Michigan, it was kind of one of those deals where it's like, you know places with average beer that's killing it, and places with great beer that's struggling.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it is just so much more than that, and I do think that is the trap when we get into the industry as beer guys. The beer is important. I mean,
I don't think it really is, though, and especially after going to this. I mean, it is important. I mean, it can't taste god awful. But you talked last time. You were like, "There's a lot of people that know how to make good beer, but there's very few that can make great beer." I don't think you have to make great beer. I don't think.
Yeah. Well, because what I was saying is that most people know the difference between good and bad beer.
Yeah.
But most people don't know the difference between good and great. And I think that's what a lot of times people are trying to lean on. They're trying to say, oh, well, I make great beer, so it's going to work. And it's like, dude, good is going to be good enough. You need to make sure that you have all these other things in place.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the thing that we didn't really talk about is marketing is a big part of it too, and I think sometimes marketing can kind of be seen as like a dirty word, like in this industry for some reason. Like, especially I remember
social media.
Well, yeah, and so like I remember, like, this was back like late 90s. I remember my cousin told me, she's like, she used to be super into Dave Matthews, and then his music got onto the radio, so she didn't like him anymore. He sold out, right? I think that I think there's a little bit of this idea sometimes that when, businesses should be well marketed. I'm happy to work. I'm much happier working for a well marketed business than a poorly marketed business. Go ahead.
I think Bodine's Brews just brought up a good point. And the brewery that I work at, he said that unfortunately it seems like more and more breweries are going after atmosphere than great beer. That's totally true in Knoxville right now. The places that are making the most money, they started with the most money. They had deeper pockets. But it's dogs barking and kids screaming, and some of these breweries are going to have a daycare center.
Yeah.
Soon, like you would go into a gym or something. There's a lot of stages now at breweries. I noticed that in Texas. I never saw that in San Diego. Never.
Yeah.
And it's interesting going from city to city and trying to, the business park thing in San Diego, where it was pretty much food trucks, to nobody had business parks in Austin, and everyone had their own restaurant. Tampa Bay was a little bit of both. But I'm just trying to see how people are making money outside of the beer.
Yeah, well, and I mean, honestly, my whole thing is, as far as that goes, the margin is lean on food. And I think we know that the high margin item there is obviously the beer. And so what you're trying to do at every turn is give that food is there to facilitate another pint.
But if you were trying to bring your wife along, and you were she's not a beer drinker, and you want to drag her to a brewery, what do you think the first question she's going to ask? Is she going to say, A, do they have wine? B, do they have food? No, they're probably going to say, are they kid friendly or dog friendly? That's becoming the biggest factor now of going to breweries. And it's a bummer because we get bad Yelp reviews, and it goes both ways. People come in with dogs and kids that are running around and screaming. And I immediately go up to the parents and be like, hey, like this, if I get a complaint, I'm going straight up to you. And they're
Sure.
going to say, well, you guys said you're kid friendly and this and that. It's like, we're also people friendly, but you still got to behave. You know, dogs are allowed in here.
It's a line, man. Yeah,
It's a weird
it's a tough
one.
line to have to walk. Yeah,
But it's better for me to tell the parents, you got to get a handle on your kids. That's a better Yelp review than if people leave and say, I'm never coming back to this place because it's like a Chuck E. Cheese. It's a daycare. If I see a brewery that says I'm not allowing kids in there, I'll probably go there now. I'll definitely probably go there now. So it's just a different vibe. You know, when I first started, 10 years ago when I was really writing recipes down and honing into stuff, when I was way more scientific about homebrewing than I was just trying to have fun with it as I am now over the last couple of years, I really thought that if you just have the best IPA, people will come and find you. But that was everybody's mindset. And it had very little to do. I mean, sure, the beer's got to be beer. But then, from where I am now at a brewery that has very low turnover, a lot of love, like what we talked about last time about how to make that organic love. It's really not Yelp. It's really not social media. It's that organic word of mouth. And I look back at breweries where it's two friends that were selling weed and their parents gave them $100,000, or they were cleaning pools and now they own a brewery, versus the people that aren't like that and knew nothing about beer, but they've ran whatever, life insurance companies or hotel. I don't care at all. They're going to grow the business faster because they have the experience and the leadership. And that's way bigger than any medal you're going to win and this and that. And we're talking about great beer. The people, me, Chris, Noam, we went on vacation this week and we're ordering beers and we're trying to look for off flavors. We're looking for that great beer. We're 0.0001% of people. Most people aren't picking apart smells and colors and taste. We're a speck of shit on a planet that doesn't exist. We're $100 a weekend. So the great beer thing, you don't need it. I really think you don't need it. You got to know how to run a business.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, I think that is absolutely, I think it's great. I think ideally you do have that goal of great beer, but I think you have, I think you have the other piece to the puzzle too, of saying, this isn't going to be the thing that carries us.
I agree. And I think a big factor is how saturated is your market, because you can move into a populated town that doesn't have too much breweries and you can get away with a lot. But once people start figuring it out, and that whole hire your friends or pay people under the table or date your coworkers and have high turnover, or, partying your asses off with your employees, you're not going to grow as a business. At best, you're going to turn into a local hangout.
Sure. Yeah, and I have, it's interesting. So there's more and more spots here. There's a place called 50 West that has kind of their production facility, and then further down they put up like this kind of like a burger shack. And then in between they have sand, they have beach volleyball courts, they have pickleball courts. I don't know if you call it bags or cornhole. What do you call it?
Obnoxious shit that I'm gonna have to rebuild later.
So
cornhole. As long as cornhole is outside, cornhole's cool. When it's inside, it is like slapping the.
But dude, but I mean, when you drive by there in the summer, it is just packed, and it's families. You know what I mean? Now, opposite side of the street, they have their pub, which is a little bit more of a bar, like having a beer, hangout scene, right?
Yeah.
It's two different scenes. But I see a lot of these larger places now looking to have outdoor spaces somewhere. Yep, they're pouring beer. Yeah, there's a quick and easy food option, but it's really just it's a park. You know what I mean? It's a place to hang out. Absolutely.
How many types of breweries do you think there are? Because I think that there's 3. I think there's 2 guys that won a homebrew medals and they want to start a business. There's guys that know nothing about the beer that want to grow a brand. And I think if it rolls over, like we just talked about, if you're good at moving this product or service, this will roll over. Knowing about forecasting, dealing with people, accounting, all that, everything it has to take to run a business. And then I think there's some breweries out there, like the boutique breweries, like almost like a winery. Like we have a 3-barrel system. sure we care about money, but we're never really looking to expand.
Sure.
Do you know of any other breweries kind of in that mold, kind of like the boutique kind of wine club brewery? Because that's what I would.
Yeah, well, I think
if that.
one of the first ones that stuck out to me was I don't know if you ever got involved on the mead side at all. Have you ever gotten into mead or making mead making?
I made it a couple times and it was just too much. Like me having 5 gallons of 13% alcohol in my house is not the best course of action. I don't care if it's Knoxville or San Diego. It's dangerous.
So there is the guy who wrote the book, The Complete Mead Maker, which is essentially kind of like the Bible for mead making at home. His name is Ken Schramm, and he opened a meadery in Michigan.
Not too many of those.
Yeah, but he does like ultra high end. And so but what he does is he's really big on the agricultural side. So he's always growing all of his own fruit. And so he'll be fermenting these meads with all these different amazing fruits that he's growing there locally. And he just went like super high end boutique, like you were saying. Again, it's mead, not beer, but he's
the wine club
splits,
approach.
Yeah, but 125 mil bottles going for a lot of money.
Right. And that's the big
lot of money.
difference between mead, beer, and wine, though. Like you're going to spend 30 or 60 bucks on a nice bottle of wine.
And there are those mead guys. There are those mead guys that have tried to break into like a little bit more like the sessionable type side of things, and I've not seen too many people really manage it. There's a few meaderies up in Michigan that were kind of going for like not like super premium, but like kind of going like more of an everyday beverage. And I don't know what happened to those places. I never really saw that stuff pop off as far as that goes as a model.
Yeah, I don't know if the model's there or the market's there because I just don't. I could name a couple of commercial hard ciders. I can't name one mead. I can't name one. Sure. Do I even know of a tasting room? A meadery? Is that what you'd call it? A meadery? Cidery? Meadery?
Yeah, meadery. Yeah, meadery. Yeah.
I got one buddy in Vista who has a meadery, and you would think he's got the corner on the market, but I'm pretty sure he's banking on trivia nights and Dungeons and Dragons nights. I don't think he's moving too much. So I don't know if the market's kind of there because it's this weird thing we didn't grow up with, honey wine. Is that, they call it that, right? Honey wine?
That's exactly what it is.
And when I go there, I can only have 2 and I'm fucked up. I have a couple of these. I'm like, where's the 4% session stuff I could drink for 6 hours and I don't buy $500 worth of dumb shit on Amazon. Sure. Where's that? Session mead's still like 7%. And it's
for sure.
Yeah. So that I just think that it's just I don't think people get it because they've never really been exposed to it for the most part. I bet the average person who's going to listen to this, this might be different because it's homebrew people. But outside of this, I bet you the average person's never had mead before, and everyone's had wine, white wine, or red wine, or beers at this point.
But IPAs. back to the brewery question that you're asking.
How many business models?
Yeah, and I feel like we're finally moving into the area where we're gonna find out what this industry is going to be. Because I feel like we had, you have some of your long-term standards, like your Anchor, the people that popped up in the 80s that are still around today, stuff like that.
Right.
And then you had your push in the 90s, and different things like that. And I do think we're getting to, and then you kind of had like kind of a push where you had like in 90s and the 2000s you had like a bunch of enthusiasts getting into it, right? So like the home brewers getting in, starting their own business.
Here comes the magazine. We're going to start a beer magazine.
And then now you see the business money rolling into the space.
Right. But I want to hear what you're saying and assume that every city's market is saturated. Where does beer go in the next 2 years, 5 years?
I think what it's going to settle out to being, I think the people that are competing for regional to be regional breweries, I think we're getting past the point to where we're going to be seeing people just, starting up and then 3 years, 4 years later they're regional. I think those days are gone. But I think what it's going to settle out into is I think it's I think it's going to eat into and kind of settle into the space. They're going to be local bars.
Right. Everything's going to be
That's
localized.
yeah, everything's going to be local, and
Yeah. Close to home, close to the beach.
yeah, and I mean that would be, if I'm not, I don't have anything, I don't have anything in the works right now, but if you were to ask me what my dream is I just want a little 7 barrel pub where I can do some stuff, take care of some people that I love and respect and work with. And yeah, I mean, yeah, like it's never like the huge next level thing, right? It's never the huge next level thing as far as getting into store shelves and going for global/regional domination.
I agree with you. Big shout out to Stephen Plast, really quick. He just dropped a $50 donation, man. Much love, Steve. You want to come over here? I'll give you a back massage or happy ending. We'll figure it out from there. Glad Tampa trip was a great for y'all. I want to go on the next one. Also, very cool to see Adam on again. Hell yeah, man. Cheers for Cincinnati and Knoxville. On your televisions, in your phones. I would take it one step further, and I would say that it might even be a safer bet just to own a tap house. That way you're not competing with 10 local guys. You have all of them. And if you have that cool ambience in that environment, which is not that difficult to do because it's pretty much just people working the front, as long as you get a couple people in there with customer service, that might be a better bet. And I don't think there's tap house chains. Maybe, like not.
That's kind of petered out a little bit because I mean they did have like the brew pub chains that were going around, like, and I think there's still BJ's around, aren't there? Aren't there still BJ's? Is Gordon Biersch on that front too?
Like third party taps, Gordon Biersch, and then selling other people's taps?
No, I was talking about like chain.
Like pizza ports and stuff like that, port brewing. There's about 4 of those. Yeah. Those all kill it. Yeah. And you know what?
Yeah.
Those all kill it. And those all make $30,000 a night. It's family friendly as hell. It's pizza too. You know, it's this loophole where the kids are happy. Dad gets to drink his IPAs. Mom's got her glass of wine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just it's just weird. It's just weird to look at because you were at a different brewery. I've worked for 4 or 5 breweries at this point. And I've seen people, I've worked at places where the owner had great beer and it would piss him off that we weren't busy and we didn't have, an extra $1,000 in sales a night. He didn't get it. You're in a weird spot. It's a weird turnoff. Cars go by here really fast. The location is just way bigger than your beer. Let alone this isn't even family friendly or dog friendly or whatever the hell friendly is nowadays.
Sure.
And then, I've seen places where guys literally maybe they did a couple home brews. I think every owner tested the waters of homebrew, but I'm talking these guys brewed maybe like 5 gallons of beer or 5 batches over 6 months. And they just knew the people. Let's get together, and they threw money together, and they've got killer tasting rooms on the coast, and now they have 4 or 5 satellite tasting rooms in the Southern California region. And just how companies are run, like.
And the satellite tasting room is really what we're seeing more and more over here. So you have a larger production house, and then they're looking for satellite places to go where they can pour their beer at full margin.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, that's it's your best margin by far. Maximizing the original investment in the brew house. Because, a lot of these guys, they'll have 30, 40, 50 barrel systems or whatever.
Right.
You need to be turning that all the time. I mean, that's not just like, well, you're turning it a couple times a week. You want to be turning it. And then, if you can create a situation with with a reasonable investment, you can have a whole nother place where you can be pouring your product at full margin. Because I think sometimes what people don't understand is you open up new territory. There's infrastructure that goes into that. There's more labor that goes into that. There's vehicles that go into that.
Permitting laws.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there's tons of stuff that goes into it. So just opening up new territory does not just mean, oh, it's immediately X amount more profit. That's not always how that goes.
And we talked a little bit about this last time too. Like San Diego, there's just way too many breweries now that have
Yeah.
satellite tasting rooms. They each have 4 or 5 in the same city. Where is Cincinnati at as far as how many breweries did you say there were? Maybe around like 50 in Cincinnati?
Maybe around there. And then
how many have
so
multiple
right now,
locations?
so
in the
what we're
city?
seeing in the city is Madtree just came out and said that they're going to be looking for another tap room location. 50 West is doing that.
Beer monopoly.
A place outside of the city a little bit out toward me is called Sonder Brewing. They're doing the same thing. So yeah, I mean that's becoming more and more popular is when these places have when they have the capacity, the brew house capacity, they start looking for another tap room. So and it makes all the sense in the world.
Adam talked about this last time. He's the head brewer and there's no ownership at all, correct?
No ownership. No
ownership.
Yeah, correct.
And your hypothetical, do you want to open up your own brewery one day?
I mean, it's right now. I've got I've got the 6 kids. I'm plenty busy.
But if the stars were aligned and the perfect thing, or just a investor or a silent partner, and you're like, I want to do it, would you do it in Cincinnati?
Sure. I would. I mean, I don't think because I look at it in this way. Now, I'm not in the city, and Cartridge is not in the city. I think that there's plenty of suburb / a little bit more rural areas that you could actually drop a tap room into and do really well. Just because what we're finding, like a city like Cincinnati, we still have people. The suburbs are still building around the city. So there's different areas where, they have to drive 20-30 minutes in order to get somewhere to have that brew pub type experience. And so there's some spots where you could be dropping in little pubs here and there, and be scratching an itch for a lot of these people that work downtown but live out in the bit more remote burbs.
This changed. 5 years ago, it wasn't about satellite tasting rooms. It was about distribution. Just vamping up distribution and getting your kegs out there and getting all these accounts. It is not like that anymore. People realize what do you sell a keg for? $200, and then the distributor
it's like 180 or something. Yeah,
and then distributor gets 30%, so they're going to take $60. So you have to be moving so many kegs for this to be worthwhile, and it's not unless you're.
And then even to make it worse, even cans. I was listening to some podcast. Maybe it was like a craft beer and brewing or whatever, and they were interviewing like one of the hot boy hazy IPA breweries, and they were saying like the whole model is by the time their cans hit the store shelf, they're still sweating from when it came off the canning line, and I'm like, bro, that's
not good.
How and believe me, I'm sure they're like I said, they're super popular, stuff like that, and good for them. But if the business plan is always being the hot boy brewery out there, that's a tall order.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And again, those margins are even worse on cans. When we're talking about kegs just a minute ago, making your margin on cans, dude, that's rough stuff.
Cut everything in half for the most part. I mean, I get free beer at my work. I swipe it on a card, but it's draft beer.
Yep.
They don't let me take, if I want beers to go, they do half, which is still a great deal to get a 4-pack of craft beer for $7 or $8. But yeah, it's just way different margins. It's way different labor. It's way different. It's the same 16 ounce. People don't see it that way.
So that's
on
what
the
I was going to
customer
ask
side.
you. Like, are you guys in? So where you are you in 12 ounces, 16s? I know people are starting to
16s.
push, and people are starting to push 19.2s here.
Yeah.
What are you seeing by you? Yeah, yeah,
We do everything except for sours. Sours are in a bottle. Our sours are great. They're sour. Don't put that in a can.
Yep.
And they
Yep.
sit. Sour doesn't move as fast as lagers and
Sure.
IPAs do. Put it in a 750. Everything else is 16 ounces. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we pick and choose whether it's going to be a 4-pack or a 6-pack. I don't know. I think lagers are always 6-packs. Specialty stuff is 4-packs. I worked for a really, really good brand. And we talked about this last time. And all across the board, company love, not morale, not going to work and hating your job.
Sure.
I work for a great company. And again, I'm a measly beer tender. That's what I do. I make YouTube videos by day. I pour beers like monkey by night. And I have no problem doing this, forever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a great company. Our satellite tasting rooms are in big cities. So in San Diego, you open up in your county, maybe get up to LA if possible, or San Onofre. Highwire is the craziest company I've ever worked for. And people don't think about Highwire. And the beer's great, good, great, sells this and that. If it doesn't sell, we get rid of it. Take the top, can it, move it. If it doesn't sell, get rid of it. New beers. But we have like Raleigh, Birmingham, Alabama, really spread out stuff. Giant tasting rooms, kids screaming, me blowing fuses. And it's aside from the kids, like I don't fret. I'm never stressed.
Sure.
I've been doing this for 20 years. I've got kind of this golden pass where nobody wants to clean, and it's 11,000 square foot place. So I clean, and it takes me 2 hours to clean by myself, and nobody wants to do that. So I get the 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. shifts, which is actually the most money there because the other shifts are like they're like volume, right? So if you open and we're not busy, we can let you go. We got volume guys that come in. I have to close. I'm there till 2 o'clock, so I get the hours,
Sure.
And it's a crazy business model just to throw satellite tasting rooms in all over the South. I've never seen a brewery like that.
Yeah.
And I think our biggest thing is like just make it family oriented first and foremost.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, those are the people that's drinking our beer. You know what I mean? I mean that's the demographic at least. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, so we're seeing. So I know Rheingeist is starting to run their regional. That's downtown. They're starting to run 19.2s. So yeah, we're starting to see some people packaging 19.2s around here.
I don't get it though. Is it just because it's what's available, or is it a new
I think
presentation?
I think it's another way to wedge another
Stand out.
something. It's another thing. It's another spot on the shelf.
It's got
you know what I mean?
Imported vibe where it's
It's a shelf space game. You know what I mean? I think it's just one more. It's just one more way to have your brand on the shelf.
Is a 19.2? Does it have like a sleek in it, or is it cylinder all the way around?
I think it's the cylinder all the way around.
just like
a little bit. I think it's just a little bit fatter and taller.
Big
yeah.
ass Red Bull. Okay, 19.2. So they're gonna put these in 6-packs, or are they individual sale?
No, those are just individual sale. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But the bummer about that is if I want a 6-pack of this, I gotta
Sure.
BYO own bag. Bring your own bag.
Sure.
Hey, we got Yeast and the Beast in here, man. Big shout out to him. He got some shine on his last video. That was cool too. Are you getting some shine on your videos? Any videos standing out or getting a little bit more viewership than others that kind of caught your attention these last couple of weeks?
Some of the stuff that's done well, I did. I had a series I put out a little while back. It was a full brew day series, and I actually had a buddy of mine who was off for the day come in, and he recorded me because I just record myself all day when I work. So that was cool because like I had somebody to like riff off of. So both like from to keep it like lighthearted and fun, and he's a really funny guy. And so we had a good time, but then I was also able to just explain to him what was happening. And so that one was like called like Brew School. We did like a Brew School series. That was us brewing our Munich Dunkel. And that one's done really well. And honestly, man, I just keep grinding.
Dunkel
So,
is
well,
a big seller right now. Dunkel is big everywhere. Because
hell yeah, man. I love Dunkel, dude.
people don't get it that it's a delicious beer. It's a dark lager. The word is just finally connecting with the taste buds now, at least in Knoxville.
Dude,
And,
it's super approachable. It's food friendly. And it's interesting enough. You know what I mean? Like it's not one of those beers that's gonna like bash you over the head with flavor and everything like that. But it's a really satisfying. It's a nice pint, man. It's a nice. We do ours at 4.6%.
yeah, it's never over 5.5.
Yeah. And I love keeping it on the smaller side, but still trying to give like a little bit of impression and a fullness with it. Just a great beer style, man.
It is a good
absolutely.
beer style. We got some love in the chat here right now. We got Braj out here in Scotland. Keith Ball, what's up, man? CH and Adam from across the pond. And I got a super chat here from Chris Radiation, aka Velvet Gypsy, 1069. Tampa trip was great. Are you guys hungover, Nick and Chris, like me? Did you take 3 days of curling up in the fetal position and thumb in the mouth, calling the mama? But I'm getting back to normal now. And then we got some love. Will has become a member for 10 months. You drinking yet? I'm drinking. We talked about this last time. He has a couple tasters here and there, but you on your stream, you'll drink maybe 1 or 2 pints, yeah?
Yeah, I used to. I haven't really much. Yeah.
Hangovers are different. The hangovers hit a little different 40, huh?
No, they absolutely do. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
it's-
Definitely.
And it's different. We were hungover all weekend. You know, me and Noam crashed out at this place, and I don't think maybe we had a couple tap waters from the sink. Nobody even came close to making food or buying groceries. It's like we're just partying. We're in go. You sleep here, shit shower, shave, get up, let's go. We're all going to have temporary self-inflicted depression for the next 72 hours. Nobody bitch, nobody complain. Let's just rock and roll. So I'm on the tail end of that now. I was like, do I drink tonight? And I just did this weight loss video that I broke.
I saw that. Yeah.
Did you watch that video? That was the hardest video I've ever had to make.
Okay.
Editing, filming, getting my
Sure.
body, wanting shit to work out. And the beer tasted really good this weekend. The beer and the food
I
tasted
bet.
really good this weekend. So I really wanted to hangovers don't matter. Money doesn't matter. Let's have
Sure.
as good of a time as we can for 72 hours. Go everywhere. Keep moving. And Monday night was vicious. Monday night, yeah. Monday night was like you kind of start Googling like the 12 steps of the Alcoholics Anonymous. No, but it was a blast. Did
I tell you last time when that I went to Belgium for a long weekend with 2 friends?
No.
So this was right between when I was on sabbatical from teaching. So it was right between teaching and starting to brew professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy brought he brought a handful of Belgian beers over, and we're sipping on some of these. And I was telling him about, because at that time it was probably 2011. At that time, Westvleteren 12 was the best beer in the world, right? And so I told him, I'm like, how great would it be just to just go to Belgium, go to that monastery, drink that beer, and then come home. That'd be a great story, right? And
That's a movie. That's dedication. That's The Hangover, but with a pulse, with a craft brew pulse.
So, anyways, we're talking, laughing, whatever, and he goes, we should go. And I'm like, yeah, we should go. I don't have the money for it, anything like that.
Now we
And,
really
a
got to
little
go. Now we're
Well,
definitely going.
then later he's like, but we should really go. And I said, yeah, but I can't afford it, man. And he goes, well, listen, I have some extra money. I'll pay for your ticket.
That's a
And
barrage.
and I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. So anyways, I call my wife who's at work, and I'm like, hey babe, how's it going?
I want to go
And
drink
she's
beer
like,
in another
good.
country.
And I'm like, what do you think if I went to Belgium just like for like a long weekend? And she goes, it sounds like fun. And I'm like, and she's like, well, how are we going to afford it? And I'm like, my guy wants to pay for me. And she goes, okay, sounds good. We need to get you a passport. She's pretty amazing. But,
Barragette. That's a barragette move. That's exactly how that
it
works.
is. So I called my other buddy.
Now I know why you're married with 40 kids, man. You have the coolest wife in the world. My God.
She's the best, man. She's the best.
Shout out to your wife.
I hit up my other buddy who was
Mrs. Makes beer.
who was single at the time, and he's a work from home guy. And I'm like, Lou, man, and he had also traveled in Europe. I'm like, Lou, like in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we're going to Belgium. We're not sightseeing. There's serious breweries that we need to hit,
Strictly
serious beers that we need to drink.
Strictly
Yeah.
beer business.
And so what I'll say is, so first day was Brussels, and we went to Cantillon. That was amazing. Second day we took the train out to West Vletteren, where we hit up the monastery, and then we drank, West Vletteren 6, 8, and 12. That was amazing. The last day we went to Bruges, and had beers there and everything, and then we were gone. And it was the last night, so it was all along the way, I was pretty reasonable, because I'm like, this opportunity is not going to happen to me. Like, yes, there's beers I need to be drinking, but I just can't go and get destroyed, because I need to understand these beers that I'm drinking. This can't just be
You can do
fun
both.
party time.
Yeah.
Sure. So, but it was the last night where it was the last night where
night's the best night.
we took we ended up coming back from Bruges. We hit up this restaurant downtown, and my one buddy, he really loves oh shit, it's the tart red beer. It's a Rodenbach. He's a Rodenbach guy. And so they had Rodenbach there on draft, and so we just started into drinking that. And then we went back to the hotel, and we realized we had all this West Vletteren beer that we couldn't bring back because it was over weight limit, right? And so we just started busting through these beers. It's a little bit of a scene. Next morning.
Wait, what do you mean? Like chugging them right then and there?
I mean, we're drinking them. I mean, yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, out of the chalices and everything. It was appropriate glassware. So
Just peeing on an airplane always is the most obnoxious thing in the world for me. So I always get afraid to drink beer before a flight. I'll just drink a couple of whiskeys or something. But
dude, we couldn't bring it back. And so, like, when we're walking out of this room, and we packed the rest of the beer into our suitcases, and so we threw out, like, I looked back at the room and tried to look at it through the lens of the housekeeper that was going to come in, because it was just nothing but empty bottles of Trappist beer. And then all the garbages were just stuffed full of old socks and underwear.
I'm listening.
And so,
where's the fish? Where's the dead body? What's really the cover up?
I will say this though, man. I was sweating. I was pale. Everything was terrible. And when I had to go through customs, this guy was like, and he's eyeballing me because I look really sketchy. And he goes, how long were you in Belgium? And I'm like, 3 days. And he said, you came to Belgium for 3 days. And I said, yeah. And he said, why?
That's a big red flag.
And I said, to drink beer. And he said, you came to Belgium to drink beer for 3 days. And I said, yes, sir. Sweating profusely, ashy looking, half dead. And then he stamped my stuff and sent me on my way, disgusted. But,
Were you wearing a white tuxedo like Johnny Depp from Blow to even help sell the elephant in the classroom? Hey, I'm going to go get a beer. Don't go anywhere. You still got 45 minutes or an hour on here, Adam?
Yeah, man, I do.
Hey,
sure. Yeah.
Big shout out to Bodine's Brews, man. Always showing love on this channel. He dropped a bomb. That's 250s tonight for the beers left on the table in Tampa. Bodine's Brews, man. Always supporting. I'll be right back. Adam, hold it down. Talk to the chat. Let me hit the mute button so it
sure.
doesn't get kicked back. BRB.
All right, so I will tell you. I can't see the chat, by the way, but I'm gonna tell you. I will tell you my Cantillon story. All right, so first day where we went there, the big goal is to go to Cantillon. I listened to this amazing interview on the Brewing Network. They had Jean Vanois, the brewmaster, on there talking, and you need to dig that interview up. It was, I believe, it was a Sunday Session podcast on the Brewing Network where they interviewed Jean Vanois. Just great stuff, man. So I fly over across an ocean. We get there. I'm with my two buddies. The place is essentially most people see it as a museum now because a lot of people don't want to drink the beer there locally. So anyways, we go in, we do the self-guided tour. You pay, they give you a pamphlet, and you get a couple of tastes of beer. And the taste of beer there are just in a wine glass, and it's like a 5-ounce pour. So we do the tour, check the place out. We have our 2 pours, and then we just start tasting through all the beers they have on the menu. And you can totally do that like without going over the line, because they're small pours. All the beers are 5%, and we're tasting through different stuff. Just an amazing experience, man. And I'm taking the whole time, I'm taking audio notes on these beers that we're drinking, right? Because I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to gain something from the experience of going out there. So, anyways, I finally worked the nerve up. It's going to sound like I'm trying to talk to a girl back in high school or something, but I'm nervous. And my friends are like, you got to go talk to, Jean Vanois, the brewmaster. And I finally go up to him and I start talking to him. And, most people that come in there, they only get their 2 samples and then they leave. But we'd hunkered down and we're tasting everything. And so the girl that was our server came up to him and they started speaking French, and I don't speak French. And he agreed to something, and I heard them say like Cuvée or like Grand Reserve. And then next thing I know, they come out with this bottle for us, like this 7-year-old bottle of Goose that was just on the house, and they poured it for me and my friends, man. And it was really overwhelming. It was a real hospitable thing. I'm a history nerd. I'm a beer nerd. Like, I'm a culture nerd. Everything was kind of colliding. And man, it was amazing. So I'm just over in the corner with this pour of the 7-year-old Goose, taking audio notes, and I'm not gonna lie, I start crying. All right, I get a little misty. All right, I get a little misty. And in the meantime, my friends are up at checking out. They're buying swag, whatever. And the woman asked me, asked my friends, like, what is he doing? Because typically people don't stand in the corner and cry at this place. So anyways, they explained what the deal was, and then I came up and I was just gonna buy like some of the sample glasses, and they would sell cheese that was washed in their beer. It was awesome stuff. And we're chatting, and I asked her how long she had worked there, and then she put her hand like low to the ground. And I'm like, okay, so it's a family thing. So she's actually Jean Vanois' sister. It's their family's place. It's very cool. And she packaged up the stuff that I ordered and slid it across the counter. And I said, how much? And she goes, nothing. And I said, what do you mean? And she goes, well, for you, nothing. So apparently the key is you go to Cantillon, you cry over their beer, and then they give you free things. So anyways, that was the Cantillon experience. It's a beautiful thing, man. If you ever get a chance, even if sour beer is not your thing, it's definitely worthwhile getting over there and seeing what they do, because it's pretty special. And you really should try and dig up that podcast of Jean Vanois being interviewed on the Brewing Network. Just a killer interview. If you have any interest in sour beer or traveling in Belgium, anything like that, it's just a great interview. So
I have no idea what you just said, but you got us up to 80 people here, man. So shout out to that, Barrage. Thank you. All right, here we go. We got the barrel aged Stoutsky from Nome,
nice.
Providence, Rhode Island, Romeo and Juliet. and this definitely worked last time. And really, as far as last time goes, big shout out to those guys, Bentgate Brewing, who I believe pulled an all-nighter because they're 6 hours ahead of me. So, yeah, that was great. I think they got a lot of love from you guys, to everybody in the chat that subscribed to their channel. Made it all worth it. Those dudes have a really cool story. Do you know what I'm talking about, bro?
I do not know.
2 dudes moved to Norway. I don't think it's Oslo. They probably told me I spaced out. And they're working. They both kill it. IT, computer programming type stuff. Okay. Home brewers that now are selling their beer in Norway. Cool story.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, so it was like 3 a.m. when we started last Wednesday. So it was awesome. What up, Chris Absolute Vodka? What's up, Barrage? I got a question about your brewery, though.
Okay.
I've got a question about the brewery that you work at. And I feel like not so much where I'm at now, but breweries when they first start out. Somebody asked me this, and I thought it was a good idea, and we were supposed to talk about it with Jorge Castro, but I shit the bed on that. Anyways, drinking on the job. What is your policy at your work? How many beers do employees get before they are cut off, or they blow it, or they need to leave now?
Yeah. So there's kind of 2 fronts on this, right? Like one is for front of house.
People getting served
for brewery staff.
Yeah, bucket beers. Yeah.
And so
the endless bottle of bucket beers.
I kind of come down on it like where like on the production side, on the brewery side, I'm not a fan of drinking pints during the workday.
Nor am I.
I know people like to do it. There's spots that are cool with it. And I don't want to kind of come off as holier than thou or anything like that. But end of the day, I mean, we're working with dangerous stuff. And like it's not like just necessarily like an office job or something. There's trip and fall, people falling off ladders, people get burned, people get cut. Like it's a thing, And I'm just not big on it was actually the series that I mentioned before, and this is the reason it came out. And I decided to keep it in, but I had a guy behind the camera, and this is how it kind of came out. But I'm not big on, like, sometimes I'll see dudes like they're posting a pint at the beginning of their shift. Online, like on social media and stuff.
Clocked in.
I don't know, dude. I just feel like, first of all, like there's not a lot of jobs that will let you do that.
And that might just be a bad look too. There's not a lot of people on social media think like, that's not cool. What is it, 9 a.m. and you're drinking on the job? And
sure. And it's and it is ultimately a liability thing. Now, I taste during the workday. When I'm brewing a beer, when I pretty much every time, if I have the IPA we've been making forever, or just any hop forward beer or whatever, I will definitely be going out and I will get a sample of that beer. I'm going to smell it and taste it, or even whatever beer is in the ballpark of it. If it's a new beer, like that's a lot of times how I end up writing new recipes, is using other beers as reference points. And then kind of going from there. So I'll go and taste, but we're talking about like an ounce or two.
Yeah,
or
something tells me you don't finish that full taster. You strike
I
me
really
as
don't.
long as I get the taste, the smell, the look, fitting the description. We don't need a third of a beer.
Well, and that's it, but I do think on the flip side though is like
it's not going to taste different that second sip though. It's not going to taste any different that second gulp.
But I will say this though, like if you're really working on a beer, you do have to session it out from time to time. Right. Like if there's a beer that you're really grinding on, and really trying to improve, yeah, you need to have a session with it. You need to sit down. You need to sit down with the guys, and that's what you're drinking. When you're drinking that night, because there is something to getting multiple pints down on a beer to find out what it's going to do long term, right?
Okay.
Or kind of, or because there's kind of like this cumulative effect as you're drinking, right? Because sometimes you end up brewing a beer that's a 2 beer, and then you ultimately want to brew like a 6 or 8 beer, right? Like there's no end to like the beer never tells you to stop drinking it. That's what the goal is with a lot of my beers. The beer never says you need to switch up. You need to drink something else. Only prudence makes you stop drinking the beer. That's my goal.
Okay. But as
Right.
far as the front of the house, you're the back of the house, you're the head brewer.
Yeah.
Do they take your car keys after 4 pints? Is there a time limit? I mean, nobody wants their employees drinking on the job, because sooner or later something bad's going to happen.
It's evolved over time.
Right, because
I think-
when it starts out, it's always super liberal and everyone's getting drunk and you want to have your buddies over and you're trying
Yeah.
beers out, and then somebody crashes. Somebody crashes on a motorcycle or somebody gets a DUI. So you got to draw a line in the sand somewhere. And I think it's a very difficult thing those 2 homebrewer guys that open up a brewery, those guys that want to work, I think it's a very difficult thing for them to draw a line in the sand, especially if you opened up a brewery in your hometown, which is my fucking nightmare. I used to think that would be cool 10 years ago. That would be the worst idea ever. Worst idea ever. Everybody from high school showing up and oh man, that's my.
Well, it's like hitting the lotto. Everybody's gonna be coming out of the woodwork.
I have to pay for
know
this,
what I mean?
dude. I knew you in like 3rd grade, man. You borrowed my skateboard. But I think that the corporate guys that are in it for the money, they don't have a hard time drawing a line in the sand.
No,
they don't have a hard time. And I think it's not an if, it's a when type thing, because I think when you start out in your brewery that, me, Noam, and you, and we all put together $50K and we open up a brewery now, we're going to drink pretty liberally. And then over time, it's going to be a lot different. And I worked at a brewery. A great move was that 4 beers and you were cut off. And there was also a COP, or a state of California breathalyzer test. So we'd blow into that, and I wouldn't leave until I was 0.08. You can sit there and drink water and be under the legal limit. And I mean, you don't want to push that on your employees. That's kind of a weird thing to do. But we just did it out of, this seems smart, right? No?
Yeah, and I know, I will say this, I don't even know what it is. I mean, I probably had.
I've driven out of there over 0.08 back in my late 20s, but but no, and I think things have tightened up at our place. I don't think we were incredibly liberal up front, but I mean, people go over the line a little bit here and there. We haven't had anything like bad happen or anything like that. Sometimes it's the owners going over the line, and it's a weird thing you talked about, because we're in beer, and there's alcohol at our work, but you could be in alcohol and not have a brewery. I've known girls or friends that are like, hey, my boss is asking us for cocaine at a tequila bar. How do I go about this? Do I go to HR? How do I deal with that? And they're not a brewery, Most people don't have alcohol at their job. It's a thing. It's definitely a thing. So
that's the weird area with it too. And I was just I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but not too long ago I listened to Kitchen Confidential with Anthony Bourdain. I mean, and there is a crossover kind of between kitchen life, front of house, brewery. It's all kind of one big blurred line there, similarities between those fields. And yeah, man, I mean, the industry is hard on people, and I think we need to be able to have some honest conversations about it, because it kind of grinds people up.
We could also say the same thing about any industry, though. I used to work construction, and I knew a guy that would go and drink beers on his lunch break, and he'd put him in his coffee cup. That had nothing to do with beer,
Sure. Absolutely.
As long as people are on the same page and no one's getting leeway or no one's getting special treatment and they can do this and this guy can't do that. Because as soon as you start treating people differently, the company is fucked. I don't care if that's a team or a parent. As soon as a guy starts dating a girl and she gets all the shifts, you just fucking blew it all. You just ruined everything. And I have a buddy's dad that bought like restaurant bar management takeover in San Diego. When he would buy a bar, you know what he would do? He would fire everybody. He would just fire everybody because he's like, hey, we're not drinking when you're behind the bar. You don't date coworkers. You don't date customers. And the people that have been set in their ways, they're going to do that, eating food or eating from the kitchen or drinking beers and stuff like that. They're not just going to go ahead and be on board with this now. They're still going to do their old stuff. So he fires them all. And I was thinking, 10 years ago, I was like, that's kind of harsh. Like you just fire everybody. Yeah. Nah, you kind of have to. You really kind of have to. And not only that, but they make shows about it now.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, a bar rescue or bar takeover.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Roadhouse, Dalton coming in, Patrick Swayze. He just fires half the crew straight out of the gate. It's like, you kind of have to. You got all your friends working all your shit. You're all dating coworkers. No, this isn't. No. This 10 years ago, sure, the market's saturated. This, I'm not investing in this company.
Sure. No, it makes a lot of sense, man. Hey,
There's a lot out there. There's a lot out there.
Yep.
And that treehouse thing is so weird because the guy went against the whole grain, man. Like opening businesses with your friends or your brother, like against all odds, all business ethics classes and courses, opened up a brewery with his friends, and they are by far the most desired brewery for at least me to go visit in the world, not even in America. So there's always going to be people through that, the 0.01%, the freaks that get through the cracks. But, 3 guys that win some awards, want to get $100,000 together, open up a brewery in their own hometown. That's my nightmare now these days. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think a good rule is though, when you get off though? Like if you, in a perfect world, like 2 beers and you have to go home? Cause there's always going to be
I think so. I think so. It's because it's tough, man. It's tough because
this beer's 8%, this beer's 4%. Does this count as 3?
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Well, and then also, then you have to have, if somebody's wearing branded stuff and they were working and then now they're not and they're sitting at the bar, we've had people think that they're still working.
Ooh,
right. And so now they're just sitting there and they're not getting our drink order. This glass has been empty for however long.
Okay.
And she's just sitting there. Well, it's like, well, she's not working. You know what I mean? And so sometimes we have to say, well, okay, then you can't be at the bar. You need to be over here. Right. And it's a lot of pain, man.
It's kind of like a college dorm room situation to me. It's like you got to kind of feel out the love too, because you always want to keep the love. The love is the biggest thing. We talked about this last time. Everyone's trying to force it on social media, and we're giving back to the community. You don't talk about it. Like it's just there. The low turnover, the morale, people getting their shifts, making their money, hanging out with coworkers after work. That's the love. You got to kind of adapt to that love. If you come in and maybe you're too lazy or this and that, we're going to kick that roommate out. If you come in and you're too strict and you're tattletaling and bringing up all this shit to the boss, this guy missed a spot mopping, we're going to get rid of you too. You got to kind of find that love,
Sure.
And then let that love grow. And that is bigger than anything we talked about. The great beer, the kids. Maybe not the kids. I think the kids is like the number one factor to opening up a brewery nowadays is have your kids there, which is fucking insane. But the love, man, and that's organic. And that starts with leaders, I don't know, hiring the right people. I don't know. How do you get that organic love? construction.
and I mean, I think that it ultimately comes back to like, so if a a company has a mission statement or it says what it's about, um, uh, I'll use this example. Throughout various, I've been attached to different businesses. There's one guy that I worked for where it didn't matter whether the brewery was just open, everything was growing great, we're having huge weeks, like we're winning awards, all these great things are happening. He is the same guy during great times as he was during bad times, right? Because you can tell me all day what you are about as a leader, as an owner,
But when
and
the
different
shit
things
hits
like
the
that.
fan.
That when the shit hits the fan, man,
Right.
that's it. Because there's a difference between, actually being a person of character
Right.
and being somebody that just talks the talk. And that comes out, man. And that's that. Yeah, and that's what people respect it, and that's when they'll run through a wall with you for you. When they find out, when the chips are down, you are who you were before, right? You're the same, right? You're still trustworthy, you're still a person of integrity, and you've got their back. And the flip side is you'll also call them out. That's the other thing too. I think sometimes one of the difficult things from a leadership standpoint is you don't want to have to call people out, but you do have to call people out if you want to be respected. When somebody needs to be called out, you need to do it whether you're tight with them or not or anything like that.
I agree with you completely. It's not the product or the service; it's the people. That's a Bill Belichick quote. He said that what are your best plays? What's going on? So it's got nothing to do with the plays; it's the players. I think people, if you work hard, people will respect you, kind of organically. Obviously, if you're likable, you can't put that on a resume, but people. Sure. Everyone's got coworkers in here. You like that guy. You don't like that guy. Imagine now if that guy's likable and he works hard, that's going to create morale, So like, Definitely. Let's just get the best amount of people we can do, get like that on our page. It's very tough when you're, hiring people and you're looking at their whole life and personality on a piece of paper. It's tough to roll over.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I don't know how you get that love, man, but it's awesome when it's there. And again, it doesn't matter if you're working on Wolf of Wall Street or you're picking up dog shit for $5 an hour. If you can go do something, and like I've said before, I'll go work my Saturday shifts for free, just hang out with my buddies Garrett and Nick. Working with them is a blast. And we're doing tasters here and there and stuff like that. But we are just cracking each other the fuck up. We've got our own terminology and language. We've got some talent over there, but we point with different ways, like third base coach stuff. We have a blast, and it's just it's cool. And I asked about it. I was like, hey, what's the deal with Highwire? Like, did you guys have a lot of love like 3 years ago? They're like, yeah, there's always like bad apples that come in and come out, but like more often than not, we've always hung out with each other outside of work and stuff like that. And it's just what some people have organically, and it's what a lot of other people force with give us a Yelp review or follow us and tag a friend on social media, because none of that shit means anything at all. I go to my breweries regardless if they have a billion zillion reviews or positive stars or followers or something or none of that. I'm still going to go there. Why? Because of the love, the word of mouth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And food is a weird thing too, because you're going there to eat that food. You're never going there really for the ambiance or to see the person behind the counter. Alcohol is this weird thing where like everyone knows the difference between a In-N-Out burger or a Big Mac or a Whopper. But if you gave the average person 7 IPAs, they're not going to tell the difference. You really got to focus on the shit outside of that IPA, outside of those 7 IPAs. So No, it's cool. I like I like that we're talking about the business stuff when you come on. Last time it was more, I think, recipe development and but there's legalities and there's
Sure.
reasons
Sure.
that, you know, if you gave every brewery in the world the same beers, the same menus, the same recipes, they're not even going to be close to growing the same. You know,
Yeah.
it's going to have very little to do with, you know, the beer is what I'm trying to say. So it's just interesting. It's just interesting that even if you win West Coast IPA GABF, you might get a couple, you know, numbers up for that month, but after that, it's like they're not kid friendly. We're not going there.
For sure.
They're not kid
For
friendly.
sure. Well, I
Yeah.
tell you what, like as far as like the whole like morale thing and everything like that, we just got together just yesterday. So I if you've seen some of
Bodine's,
the
man. Bodine's. He just dropped another super chat, man. Bodine's is
Nice.
cut off for the two people in attendance and the 81 people watching at home. Much love, Bodine's. Cheers, you barrage. Thank you. What were you saying, Adam?
If you've seen some of the earlier videos, I had two people working with me back in the brewery, and that was Maggie, who was my assistant brewer back then, and then Josh ran our cellar. And now it's just Josh and I, and Maggie's at Urban Artifact downtown in Cincinnati. But the three of us just got together last night. We went out for a drink and some pizza at a spot that's kind of central to all of us. And you know, it's been 6 months since we all worked together, but I still talk. I still talk like it's almost like it's still current that we all work together still. Like we had such a good thing going on. It was really wild. And I try to say like, so like as a leader, I'm supposed to be praising. Like I'm supposed to be praising my people, right? But I don't necessarily need to be expecting that praise to come back up. And to me, like the praise for me doing a good job is morale. Like so, if I walk in the brewery and listen, everybody has bad days, but
Shit's all
I mean,
clean and shiny.
yeah, I mean, by
7 in the
and
morning.
large, I mean, if people are loving being there and we're having a good time and we're being loud and laughing as we're busting our asses, that's where it's at, man. I mean, that's as good as it gets.
You seem like a pretty cool dude to work for. You're a father. You know, you've got tolerance. You know, I think single people get way more annoyed easily than most people. But you've also been a teacher. So before that, so you have experience dealing with people, dealing with crowds of people.
Yeah.
So I think you have a higher threshold to really call somebody out than somebody more maybe like me or something. Like, this is obnoxious, shut up. But you can't just go there. That's the old school way. I've had it with all of you. Enough's enough. You're all fired. Wait, I need people to make beer. Come back. I'll give you $1.
But
raise.
no, I mean, you know, and some of it is like, you know, you do have to have some of that element of you know, you're ultimately you do have to, a big part of your job is developing your people, you know, and I'm fortunate with the two of them. And it's not that they didn't have any, you know, rough edges to sand off or anything like that, but they had all the key things, man. They come in with gratitude, hard work, and a hunger to learn, man. And you can do a whole hell of a lot as a leader with those raw materials, you know. So and then at that point, it's really just your job to, you know, continue to try to provide opportunities for growth.
Do you chill with these people outside of work, or do you don't want that relationship?
So,
Because that could be a monster, yeah.
It's super tough, man, and it's honestly something that I've struggled with in the past, and I feel like I probably have like the healthiest thing that I've ever had from a managerial standpoint. So like, I will see I see Josh once a month. So Josh and I are actually like in a book club together. So I'm in a book club with Josh.
A real book
And
club, or
I
is that a metaphor? Or a
no joke.
damn?
He's
Okay.
he's a dude. He's a smart. He's the man. But anyways, we read like great books and stuff. That's something that he wanted to do. Like he's a big reader, and so once a month we get together for this great books club. And a little beverage, a little tobacco, and we talk about big words and stuff. But Josh is cool, and so I'll do that with him. But he invited me to that, so I don't do.
You
like,
don't reach out. You're not going to reach out.
I don't. Yeah, like I kind of try to let that come to me a little bit, and then Maggie, I still see her, but a lot of times I see her with Josh. She's getting married. I'm going to her wedding, stuff like that. But it is a little bit of a line, especially when you are in a leadership position. Because like
Oh, for
I
sure.
like to I like to bust ass a little bit, like it's kind of like break your balls or something. And so like when you're going back and forth, it can get to the point to where it's awkward because ultimately I'm like
Playing with
goading you
fire.
into
Yeah.
talking shit to me because we're talking socially, right?
Right.
But there's not just a social element. Now I mean, that's never like came up to where I'm like, you're talking too smart to
Yeah,
me,
but
young
you're
man.
smart enough to know just to never let it get there. You're in a
You,
position. Just
yeah,
never
you
let
don't
it
want to
get
put
there.
somebody in that spot. Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And
Sure.
we know how this plays out. We don't need to talk about, how there's two sides to every story type bullshit. We know what happens, so
Sure.
just don't let it get there. Put yourself in a position where, I don't know, unless maybe the owners want to hang out with you. Is that a little bit different, or does that just not happen?
That hasn't happened.
Student
And
is
I
now
mean,
hanging out with the teacher,
and so really, and I mean, honestly, like having the
Just
big family
don't say
is
a
like
word. Just
the
don't say a word. Don't say a fucking
having,
word. Nobody talk for 2 hours. Eat the sushi ahi roll. Drink 2 beers. Don't say a word. Go home. Jerk
yeah.
off.
But most of the folks that I work with, especially when the brewery first opened, a lot of them live downtown. I live like the complete opposite of downtown, so they felt like they were driving to another planet to get to the brewery, and they think I live in another universe out here where I live.
I think as far as chilling with coworkers, the safest bet is just to chill with people on your same title, on your same platform.
Yep.
If you're in
Yep.
front of the
Yep.
house, come on, those guys go out and they party and they get loaded at the same spots all the time.
Sure.
This guy's in a position of power or vice versa. Just go out and party with the people that are kind of on your pay grade vibe.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's
Absolutely.
the safest bet.
Yep. Absolutely.
Got to kind of look out for these things nowadays, as you should, as people should. But I don't know. And I want to talk to Jorge about this too, because there's people that come on here more often than not. We're home brewers. You're the head brewer. Couple owners. Trev, who keeps it pretty PC on here. Jorge's a little bit more behind the curtain. I like that. And I want to hear it from his point of view, because there's 3 different people looking at this right now.
Sure.
The people that want to be there, the people that are there, and they have their, if I coulda, shoulda, wouldas, if I knew what I knew now, what I knew then, this and that. And no, we'll get Jorge on next week. This will be cool as hell. Husker24, super chat, $5. Just got into home brewing. Your video are awesome. Learning a lot and helping save money. Thanks, Husker24. Are you talking about me or Adam Makes Beer? Because we both have YouTube channels. And if you haven't subscribed to his channel by now, it's the link that says Adam that I'm looking at right now in blue, right underneath my super chat panhandle link and above the Discord one. But thanks for watching nonetheless, Husker. Cheers, brush. And we still got 80 people here, man. Can you hang out for a little bit longer or?
Yeah, I would actually be interested. So, like you mentioned, you're going to be doing a video with the liquid Lutra and then the dry Lutra.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I think that's interesting. I've turned a ton of batches, so I probably turned like 150 batches with Kvike strains.
Okay.
Dude, it's super worthwhile to check out. So have you brewed with Lutra before?
Oh yeah, I've
Nice.
done probably 10 or 15 batches with Lutra. I mean, all across the
Yeah.
board with hard seltzers and side by side shit like that. But yeah, that was Lucha was the big one. Or Peter sent me that from Genus Brewing. But what I'm trying to figure out right now is how many brands have the same yeast strain in liquid format and dry format. And I think it's only Lutra Omega. So I'm going to buy those from my local homebrew store or,
Yep.
deal with Northern Brewer. And
Yep.
my whole mindset is like, what one man can do, another can do. What one man can say it with me. What one. So if I do a blind taste contest with my buddies or myself, but
Sure.
won't sell the video all that well, even though I still think I could taste it better than the average person. I blindfolded.
Sure.
And we can't tell the difference. Why can't everybody get their yeast strain in dry format so I can get it on Amazon in 2 days and I don't have to deal
Sure.
with $30 in buying ice and stuff like that? And Northern Brewer has my back and they'll ship it to me and stuff like that. I have to support the local homebrew guy at this point. We were
Sure.
talking about
Yeah.
that this weekend. And the Northern Brewers are like, dude, don't go to Amazon. They're like the big business. Well, the local homebrew stores are like, don't go to Northern Brewer. They're like the Amazon for us, So,
Yeah.
yeah. But
It's been a while for me. Are the local homebrew shops still hanging
no,
around? Are they still
no,
sticking in there as getting rough?
not at all. No. So I think that where I'm at in Tennessee, I mean, Gnome's been to the one with me. It's not there to make beer. They're not selling beer shit. It's the moonshiners that are keeping these
Sure.
businesses afloat. And I don't think you really get that in San Diego. I think there's significantly a lot less of that in the state of California
Sure.
entirely compared to Tennessee.
Sure. Yeah.
That could be a stereotype. That could be a spot on stereotype. But some of these stores, Noam and I, Noam in the chat, we went to the store out here. You're just looking around. You're like, this is like a scene from Deliverance or Texas Chainsaw. Like, how the hell is this place operating? 80-year-old woman, 2 cats. You're walking around. She's looking at you on like a bluebird on your shoulder, like you're going to steal something. I'm like, hey, Dolores, like, I've been here 5 times. We met 5 times. She's like, oh, yeah? Like, you fucking sure? I'm like, no, not anymore. Yeah. So it's just a different vibe. I think you have a much better, what would they call it out there? She wouldn't call it moonshine. She would call it like power water. Like gave us the wink, wink, like
Yeah.
silly waters. But I think it's just way too difficult to have a homebrew store in California. I think if you're
Yeah.
going to do it, just move to the South so you can sell people their moonshine.
Yeah.
Whatever they're
Yeah.
using, all the puree fruits or whatever goes into it. Mostly
Yeah,
just,
that's crazy.
what do they use to, what do you think, just whatever the cheapest grain is? Just the
Yeah, and
most
I
bulk?
guess like and there's got to be like certain amount of corn too. So I think it's probably like flake corn, and then barley, malted barley, and then I'm trying to remember what's the name of the quote unquote reality show that they have on that.
Duck Dynasty?
No, no. They literally, I think it's maybe called Moonshiners or something like that.
Oh, I
And
don't
it's
know.
on like History Channel or something.
I haven't watched
Crazy.
a show since Full House, man. I'm out of the loop with
And
stuff
they-
like that.
But no, they have some they
DJ
have
Stephanie.
some good old boys running around cooking out in the woods and everything. Yeah, it's a scene.
I don't know it. I don't know. Maybe the chat. Looks like Jorge Castro's got some. Patrick Sandy knows what's up. Sugar Wash.
Okay.
What up, Patrick? Still holding it down. Moonshiners is the show.
Yeah.
Imagine
yeah.
that. Chris Ratty, Eric Nelson. What up, dog? So yeah, in the homebrew store out here, it's good. It's really good. And they've got, what do they buy? 5 grain fathers for $500 or $600. They're not, what do they sell for? $1,000? Sell one every 4 months. That's not money. A $400 profit in next year's quarter. That's just taking up shelf space. So I've called them. It's a family-owned business too. you know, it's a mom and a pop, and they've been great to me since I've only been there about 3 or 4 times, but all the questions you need, they got. And, you know, you're always going to pay a little bit more when you go to the homebrew store.
Sure.
Everything's cheaper online.
Sure.
I have no problem with that at all. And not only that, but whenever YouTubers like, hey, today we've got the new Brew Tools fermenter. Today this video is sponsored by Northern Brewer. Just by default, I'm out. I'm out.
Sure.
Yeah. So 10-minute drive, and they've got a really good liquid yeast selection, and that's kind of how I judge a good homebrew store is their liquid yeast selection, because everyone's got the Safe Ale 04 and 05.
Sure.
And that's just being lazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. And if you're selling it to moonshiners, maybe you can be lazy and just get away with that Safe Ale or 05.
But yeah, I think that those Kvike strains should.
Sorry,
I think they should. No, you're good. You're good.
What's up?
I think they should lend themselves pretty well to drying, because I mean that's kind of that whole process. I don't know if you ever listened. I think is it Lars Gerishall, that guy that's been doing a lot of the stuff on that, but the guy that's bringing that stuff back from that area of the world. But
it's a good
you know, a
question.
lot of times that stuff is just dry. It's just dry on these Kvike rings that they have. And everything like that. So,
but it's
yeah,
still
I
yeast. It can die, you know. And in you and anybody in the chat right now, what is the lifespan of liquid yeast? How long? Because I wouldn't, if it says it's over a month. No, yeah, if it's expired for over a month, I won't use it. But how long does dry yeast actually last?
There's a long shelf life on that. You're talking about a year or two for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
I put myself on 6 months.
But you're gonna see that viability
to
drop in those, whether they be smack packs or whatever they have now. That viability will drop. I think they give it like a 4-month window.
Okay.
And then maybe it's 3 months. But yeah, absolutely.
Maybe pitch 2.
Yeah, or you know, a 24-hour starter or something like that maybe would help as well. So get those boys perked back up again before you try getting them to do anything.
Ron Barnes pretty much has your same answer. Do you use dry yeast over there?
Yeah, it depends. Mostly I run liquid, but I do some beers that I consider to be like dead end beers. So
one-offs,
if I'm going to be
Philly sour
not so much. No, but it's more like if I'm going to be adjuncting, like in the fermenter. So if I'm going to be fermenting fruit,
you don't want that in there.
Or
yeah,
exactly. I'm not going to be harvesting off that. So
Okay.
I usually do just keep a couple bricks of 04 in there, because for me 2 bricks will 1,000 grams will knock out a 15-barrel batch, no problem for me. And so there's a pina colada beer that we do that uses real pineapple and real coconut. That's one of those dead end beers for us. That's a fun one, man. That's a good beer.
What's the what do you guys charge for that, and what quantity of the glass, and what size glass is that? Because I'm gonna guess $8.
We're
12 ounce.
We're $7 pints. $7 pints.
No matter how much it costs to behind the curtain.
Yeah, and that might be changing with the new ownership.
I think it's
we
definitely
haven't approached that yet.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of a weird thing, because especially with lagers too, because people are expected, you know, they grew up with Modelo and Corona and all this cheap beer.
Sure.
Lagering takes up space. You know, time is money, and like, can you really charge somebody more or as much as an IPA for a lager? You kind of put yourself in this cohort. But insider information. We have different prices on our beers, and it's not a problem at all. And when we do move our prices around, people bitch for the first month. They're not going to stop coming in. They're still going to show up. Something really bad has to happen for someone who's a creature of habit to not go somewhere anymore. And maybe that's not a really bad thing that happens. Maybe there was just a competition brewery that showed up right next door to their house that became the coolest hangout of all time. That can happen. Very rare. Extremely rare. But I've seen that happen as well. But most people, like me, I just go to 3 or 4 places. And it's pretty much just to see the bartenders, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a perk when they have a killer beer on.
Sure.
You know, when they have a killer sour on that's delicious, and I could taste a little bit of lactose without having to go to the bathroom. Around $7, around 6% ABV. That's always a perk, but with or without that beer, I'm still going to show up there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we're coming down to the wire. We got 70 people here. I know you're an hour behind me, or
Dude,
we're in the
I don't
same
even
one?
know.
No,
I'm
we're
the
in-
worst with the time zone game. It's 10:42 for me.
Okay, it's 10:42 for both of us, which is so weird to me because I thought you were for sure west of Nashville. You're just north of me.
Yeah, I'm just pretty much straight north.
You're pretty
I
much
think.
north. Okay. And you get up
Yeah.
at 5 in the morning, right? So we can get out of
Yes,
here, yeah?
sir,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
you want to do a quick little 5-minute round robin? Anybody who's got any questions for you? Do you mind answering, firing off some of the chat?
Yeah,
Or do you want to get out of here right
absolutely.
now?
And if you would have to, you're gonna have to feed me. There's any questions that you see pop up, I couldn't pull it up on my phone.
No, let's get out of here. This is a good stream. This was damn near 2 hours. I'm going to go to bed right now. I think we're all going to go to bed right now. No one needs to do a 4-hour stream. We could keep all of this up. Did we make fun of anybody or talk about how no one should subscribe to Yeast and the Beast yet and have to take this down? No? Okay, we're good to go. Good job on that last video, Beast. All right, well, plug your stuff, man.
Yeah, man. Adam Makes Beer on YouTube. I run on the same handle on Instagram, but really, the super majority of my stuff is on YouTube. I do a monthly Q&A live stream. You can drop questions for me there. I have homebrewers and pros dropping questions there for me.
Somebody asked, what's with the books behind you?
They're all the books that I don't have time to read anymore.
Adam's Family. It's a back wall that turns around. Actually,
It is. There's a layer. And so I do a live stream Q&A every month. I do grain to glass, brew day videos, full recipe breakdowns. I'm going to be adding a monthly live stream where I talk to a professional brewer. I did that for the first time last month. So a whole lot of different things, even some tutorial stuff for how things work on the pro side. But yeah, so that's what we do.
I like it, man. I like it. Anything for me? Do you have any questions for me, Adam?
No, man. I just want
Good
to express my thanks.
Dude.
It's been fun. It's been good to be back on. I really appreciate it. You guys have always treated me really well. So yeah, it's been a good thing, dude.
You know what? I wish I did this more because I want to get you on more. You know, I've got a thing kind of going with Gnome and Aliage where we just kind of get on and we just talk about food and beer and we can get into it. We get along great. There's a lot of love. You reached out for me for a little bit on Facebook, and I thought, I told you, I was like, you got to withstand the test of time. Not trying for me to be an asshole, but I did have guys that would come on, or a couple guys that, the pros with Peters, and they would put out content and then just be gone. Because I know that people filtered out of YouTube really fast. This dude is not the case. So subscribe to his channel. And
I'm gonna be on with Genus this month.
And Brewlosophy. You're doing a Brewlosophy and Martin collab, yeah? You didn't even bring that up.
I didn't tell. Well, I did. He tell you that? Did I tell you that?
Is that a secret? There's no secrets here. Just talk about it.
All right, so I am going to be doing something. Martin's doing something with Brewlosophy now.
Yeah.
We haven't been in super tight communication, but he's actually going to be doing a brew day on that beer called Escape, that pina colada beer. And so we scaled the recipe.
Did I just blow it?
It's yeah. So yeah, he's going to be
bad.
doing that on the Brewlosophy channel. So that's cool. I'm gonna be doing stuff with Genus. And yeah, man. And then there's a guy out of Columbus. I think he runs an electric brew house YouTube channel, Short Circuited.
Yeah. He took
You
a
had him
hiatus. You took a hiatus you came on while he took a hiatus.
Okay.
But he's
so
been
I
around.
hit him up because I saw him. He was on your spot.
Yeah.
And then
I think he hates me.
I hit him up.
He's just a grumpy dude. But yeah. No, Brian's the man.
But anyways, he's close to me here actually, so I might be doing something. I hit him up and he said he saw my stuff. I've seen him in the chat a couple times, and I think I might be doing something with him this summer. So yeah, just doing the thing, man. Making beer at work and cutting videos after it. So just trying to share what I'm doing and what I'm learning and. Yeah.
No, you're on a vibe. It's a good vibe. It's a knowledgeable and likable. And we talked about earlier, there's a lot of love. I definitely like you. I don't know if we're, spit hands, we're friends yet. I just wish I did this more, because it's once a week. And more often than not, I'm drinking. And I only drink about 2 days a week out here in Knoxville. I mean, I wish that we had this back in my San Diego vibe when it was about 4 or 5 nights a week with, 7 to 8% beers.
Sure.
By the 12 pack. But I work 30 hours a week with the night thing, and then I do 30 hours a week with YouTube. But if I can hone something in to do this more, I would love to do that because that just gets more people on. And I asked you what before you came on, like, is there any beer news? Is there anything you don't want to talk about? And you're like, no, it's just rock and roll.
Yeah.
So check this guy out. Check Adam Makes Beer out, and I don't know what I can say that he hasn't already said, but I don't know. We still got 70 people here. Should we drink some more beer? Adam, I know you got to cut out, or you can stay with me as long as you want, but I'm just kind of playing this through my head.
I'll probably bounce, man. And yeah, once again, I appreciate it. Shout out to everybody in the chat, and appreciate the new subs. Did
you get over 3,000 tonight?
Probably getting close.
Let me know right now because I'll chug this last of Gnome's 4% barrel aged out. 4%. 4 ounces of his 11%.
I need 42 people.
Oh man, you'll get it in the morning.
Absolutely.
Or you won't.
Absolutely.
You'll get it soon.
And life will go on.
Life will go on. No, let's get out of here. I'm gonna go play some Hollow Knight on Nintendo Switch and start drinking water, man. This is cool.
All right, brother. Thanks
so
Adam,
much. Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody that was in here. No Homebrew for Life video this week. Maybe a Tampa vlog next week. But Adam, really quick, when I make that video, we talked a little bit about you doing a recipe or giving me a recipe for a homebrew video. Yeah. I'll take that, assuming that I'm going to use Kvike. I'll use the yeast. But if you want to come in with the other 3 ingredients, let me know. And it could be kind of a cool little mini collab.
Sure. Yeah, man. Let's talk about it. Absolutely.
Let's talk about it. Let me know what would work with that, and we'll just go from there, bro.
Sounds good, brother.
All right. Everyone have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody. All right. I'm out of here. Adam, is that cool?
Yeah, man. Fantastic.
Are we still live?
I don't know if we're live.
I think we are still live. I shouldn't have told you that. No, it's the same exact thing. No, we are still live, but I'm going to close this computer, which is going to shut us off both too. But just keep in touch with me through Instagram.
For sure, brother.
Go to bed. I'll talk to you in the morning.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Thank you so much, man. Have a good night.